Oha, wana. Now, wana. Now. March 11, hey? Yeah. Oha, okay. Apet Oashtechake. Oashtechake. Beautiful outside. Nice. Hardly any clouds. Wiki. Tayang was agyanke. Apewi. The sun, the day sun was agya. It's strong. It's hardly any clouds. Hohe chan. Ake kawita. Kawita unhea takape. Tokia yang umpe. Tokia. Somewhere. Tokia umpe. Anahupta nakape. You're listening. Anahupta nakape. Iyoha. All of you. Iyoha. Iokpia. With good mind, good heart. Napechiuzapi. Virtually. How do you say virtually in Dakota? Maybe no such word. What the message is that Yokpia napechiuzapi. Tokia umpi, maybe Saskatchewan, maybe North Dakota, Ontario. Toki nakape. Nakape. Ayokpia wahiotake. I sit here with a good heart, good mind. Dakota wo hadake king de. Good heart, good mind that I'm speaking. My language. Atewa kantaka, we show you mako. You give me a language. Ina ate, mother, father, unkan kunshi. We show each other hektake. In the back days, the generations, they protected that language. Dakota pi chimpe, they want to be Dakota. They protected that language, even though Indian policy is to remove the language and the culture from Dakota. And all Indians, North and South America. That is the plan. Let us, unkie, let us, understanding that, he unkokach negape, stur unyapi, we know. Unkokach negape is we understand. Unkokach negape, we know, we understand. That plan to kill the Indian and the child. Knowing that, we should come together with the Hioba. Make sure that plan fails. To assimilate the Indian to the Western Eurocentric way of thinking, way of life. I'm not saying that is bad. Heshija gepeshne. I did not say that the Western concept of civilization of life is bad. No. All I'm saying is that shouldn't change who we are. It won't change. Utokcha is to change. Unyotokchapi kteshni. Unyotokchapi. P is the plural. Who's P? Who are they? That's the government. Not just one person, but the government. Put plans, policies in place that makes it difficult for us to to continue our ways. But as I say, we can do both. Damakota, upimiche. I'm a Dakota. Upimiche is I conduct myself, upimiche, as a Dakota. Here in my community, Oyanke Kindet Damakota. Kaki Akab Ibravadeka, Akab is on the outside. On the outside. Akab Ibravadeka, Washichu Wawa Hadake. I speak the English language. Oyanke Kinde, the settlement, did Oyankape, Oyanke, Sioux Valley, Wipazokawakapa. Once I go outside of that, Akab, on the outside, I speak English language. Because there's many, many nations out there. I don't understand their talk. Wohodakapi. So English is a good medium to use in this world as we know it today. But it is not who we are. Himiyashne. Why should I leave that? When my mom, my dad, my kunshi, my grandpa, and the generations before that, they held that dearly, even though they faced many, many difficult situations. They run into difficulties. When they suffered to do that. And I shared a song, I think it was one of the first days that I was here this year. Iwakchi Society, Scalp Dancers, Scalp Society. They're talking over there. There's a powwow going on here. But the Scalp Society was over there. Old guys. Wohodakape. Unka Hawaji. One of them was Inajinkap. He stood up. He shared a song. I sang that song in one of the earlier sessions. Tunkanshida Iapi. Tunkanshida is an elder or a grandpa, the old people. Tunkanshida Iapi. Hayaka Iapi. Tunkanshida Iapi is the federal government. Hayaka Iapi. This is what they said, he said. Hayaka Iapi. Dakota, the Dakotas, Washichupo, be a white person. Ayaka Iapi, that's what they said, he said, the government. Dakota, Washichupo, Ayaka Iapi. He, that, he, Tamakashne. Tamakashne is, I'm bothered by that. It doesn't sit well with me. Tamakashne. Dakota Kiwashichupo Ayaka Iapi. He Tamakashne. I don't believe in that. It doesn't sit well with me. Cha. Dakota pi, being Dakota, Tewachinda I cherish. Dakota pi Tewachinda. Cha Wawokia wa'u. I cherish being Dakota, so I go help people. Wawokia wa'u. That's how I conduct my life. Wawokia wa'u. Tukanshida hayaka api. Dakota ki washichu po ayaka api. Ayatamakashne. Dakota pi tewachinda. Cha wawokia wa'u. That's a powerful statement. That might have been an old guy from here mentioned that on a tape one time I heard. And no skino Takoja, JC. We talked about that. We were going to share that at one of our sessions here, but Takoja is not here with us. He's off doing Wawokia. He's helping here and there somewhere. So I shared that in one of the first sessions. A powerful statement. We should all be of that mind. Tawachin ki hai, wo tawachin, that mind. We should all be of that mind. Wo tawachin hai, unkija, us too, we should be the same. Iechachik, the same. Kta kechami, tka is what I thought. Gechami, I'm thinking of that. If we understand the plan, the policies of Iapi to Iapi, Iapi to Iapi, they're both government. Their plans and their policies. I would say it's a genocidal policies that they had, and it's still going on. You think it's over? No, it's not. They're going to come up with a legislation someday that's going to eliminate legally the rights that we have. They're going to get rid of the Indian problem. That's the plan. Because we are still here. So that is why I say that he on. That is why he on. Deched wo hadak. I speak in this fashion. Deched wo hadak. Let's work together. We to do something. Work. We together, unity. Will work at it. To ensure that plan fails, we will remain Dakota. So hina, those I thought of Ibidukcha Ake, I'll mention those during this session, today's session. So before I continue, going on and on and on, I'll remember Creator. He gave us Apetu Oashtachak. Ed, at that time, we come together in a good way. O Pidewichik, I'm going to say thank you. Help us, Onkiapo, Tokatake generations. Da Onkotape, da Koto Yakahape, Hedus Yakomte, we will hold that, what you gave us as Dakota, language, culture, name, who we are. How ato kantaka actually watch it. How na mechich ato kantaka. Apeto washtiche konyak. He will pidichichi. Apeto ke wayagma. Amitake michincha mitakosa. Kodawicha enana. Adena wichahda hech ato kantaka onkiapo. Unshunkida aya hechit hoichichi. Haikshevchashtaki dahan. Ayotieka hechit miako. Dakota wachin ukish ne dechiro piukichik. Otka. Hech on dechik shit kawita muhiotakap. Aikikcho wachin. Adechit muhiotakap. Ohato kantaka wachin uniapido. Aichin ya hechit unyakagap. Amakocho unyachagaba. Aed Dakota unyakagap. Dina atewa kantaka hecha tokata ki yekt. Ake dina yet hecha ki epe. Anach na ko rei chagap shni hina. Ye washtep to un ta, wichuni chuptero. Aya atewa kantaka hoichichi. Achamushum kida po kapetu kinde. Atokata kedina. Unkachta nimba. Unkehda kaptedo ayaheche. Opide chichedo. Omitakas. So, the importance of language, otechika, the importance. We talk about assimilation, making us into oshichu, minded. Reconciliation, apidahan, reconciliation, the word reconciliation. In the back there's ahana. Shinasape oyate okoda kichi wocheke yuhaka. Heche hinandi iyukchump. Ka heche ta wopeke dina yueba. Or the hand yaka. I talk about our problems stemming from way back, ahana, mid-1400s. Some documents or laws, policies, what is called the doctrine of discovery. From there, mid-1400s this way, that plan was put in place to remove the Indian off the land. Physically, if they must, as they say, physically, if they must. But they're hoping to change the Indian into like who they are. And that has been ongoing. We chose today, Yoti Yonke. I just wanted to mention those things. Chtaniha. Remember that word chtaniha? Chtaniha. Taku iwo hadake. Wetu zitkada. Iwo chahadake. Wetu. Remember what wetu is? Wetu is spring, remember? Wetu. Spring. Zitkada. Birds. Wetu zitkada. Iwo chahadake. I talked about them. Wetu zitkada iwo chahadake. Chtaniha. Shishoka, robin. Wetu zitkada, the spring bird that whistles, chirps around wetu. I was talking like that yesterday. We were done here. They don't uyushtampa. I went home. Got home, got out of the vehicle, and I was walking towards the house. I heard something, a bird. Is that a goose? Maga, a goose? I stood, I was listening. All of a sudden, right above me, a goose, honking away. Just a single one, wajida. Maga wajida had kiyahiyaye. Where are you going? You're going north, too far. It's cold up there. Where are you going? He was honking and just went north. So that uplifted me. Iokpimaya. Made me feel good. That what I was talking about that day, yesterday, I heard the sounds of it. Yomakipi. Kawajida. There's only one of them. Where's his buddies? Maybe they're up north. Maybe that's where he's going. I don't know. Khwazia ta umpeni cheche. Kechame. Hohina chtaniha. Iwo ahadake. Yesterday I talked about those things. Wetu activities. Around this time, February, March, the men, Otanka, the Wichashta in this community, and other Dakota communities, Kaki Otuna Pope Iapi. Otuna is a little settlement. Remember Otuata? To town, Otuata? Otuna is a small settlement. The settlement was called Pope. I was just talking about the Pope just a while ago. Doctrine who discovered it. But anyway, the little town is called Pope. The men from here, young men, used to go Wahamunkape. They go trapping Wahamunkape. H-A-T-P. They camp over there, month of March. Wahamunkape. Trap. Otaku. Chapa ga sinkpe. Chapa is beaver. Chapa. Beaver. Sinkpe is the muskrat. Uchahamunkape. We was each about 1 month. They camp over there. Here the old people, the old people talk about that. Many stories. Taku woayake ota. When the old guys, they sit here, kaki yakap, they sit over there, they talk about old times like that. Good days, good life, simple life. Umpkechi, the way they are, the way they're living, umpkechi. Otaya umpe. They had a good life. Following their season activities. Humakshirigata. Atewai, my father, Atewai, Wahamunke, he traps, especially in the springtime. Chapa, sinkpe ahadika. You know how we chayus his skins, how we chayus ega. Pusye. On tune up the okata, pusye dries it, pusye. You know we pay. He sells them for money in the springtime. And what Ina used to do, what Mom used to do, she'll cook that, the beaver. I grew up eating beaver, sinkpe, muskrat. Ina ish kunshi. Ina ish kunshi. Ina spayampe. They cook that. Takad outside, takad hiche. Chetipe. Aid hina spayampe. We grew up living like that. We ate like that in the springtime. Can't remember when was the last time I had muskrat, many years ago. Just before COVID, makoshiche is the COVID, makoshiche is the virus, makoshiche. Before COVID, I took up that tradition of trapping. Bought traps, beaver traps, mink traps. So I got started trapping, and then COVID was upon us, and so I kind of put it aside. I never really picked it up again. Ake echamu shne. I didn't do it again. Echamu shne. I didn't do it again. Ake echamu shne. I like to get back to that, just as an activity. Takune echamu wachi. In remembrance. Wokiksuye, ahana. Hechirunkichakapi, we grew up like that. Off the land. Oh, hina, those, hina ibiduksanche, I think about those. Naku ahana kunshi wohda kache, Ehana wohadake. My grandma used to talk about the back days, the old days, kunshi. That's a wania tukaha when it's winter time. She'll shut the lights off and she'll be talking not all night, but as long as I'm awake, she just lays there, talks about the old days. Dokit kid how they lived. Dokit kid hina. Those iwohadake, she talks about those. Tatanka iwochahadake, she talks about the buffalo. Tatanka dine iwochahadake. Tukde tatanka umpkaha, wherever the tatanka is roaming. Dakota is close by all the time. Wichihakab, tukde tatanka gde hiap kaha. Dakota ge wichihakab hiap. Wichihakab umpe. They go all over Dakota territory, following the buffalo. Tatanka getaha, wakea, the tent, heyake, the clothing. Wotawe, the tools, wotawe. I remember yesterday we were talking about tools, wotawe. Hina tatanka chigeta ichup. So the tatanka was important. It gave us life. Hina kunshi wohadakache. Ahana wihinipka, ahana a long time ago hunting methods, wihinipe, hunting. Itazipe, the bow, itazipe. Wahinkpe, the arrow, bow and arrow. Hina iwohadakache. She will talk about those things. Hina iwohadaka anaguptamuke. I'm still lie there listening to her talk. Soothing. I'll fall asleep. Shtimi ma. In the morning, sometimes she'll wake up and she'll chega the pail, the water pail. She'll hit it, tap it. That's to wake me up. Chega kakokoke. She taps. Onata koja. Iotaka. Grandchild. Wana, now, get up. Iotaka. Mini Hawaii. Go get some water. Wash pawaik there, I'll cook. She used to say those things. The fire's always going in the wintertime. Chao rea umpa. Put some wood on the fire. Rea umpa. Kadia, make it warm. Washpawek, I'm going to cook washpawek. Pepsi. Now we drink lots of Pepsi. I do anyway. Instead of mini. Remember I told you a story about I choked on the water. Just about killed me. So since then I drink lots of coffee and Pepsi. But anyways, yeah, my grandma used to wake me up, chega ka kokoke. She taps the chega ka kokoke. Ona takoja iotaka. Grandchild, ona iotaka. Sit up. My day starts. Just imagine back in those days, grandmas, grandpas, even today, we grandpas wake up early, like 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock in the winter time, it's still dark, but she'd be kakokoka. Ona, 6 o'clock. Iotaka. The day is starting. I remember those days, those talks that she always talks about, back days. My grandma was born in the 1800s, late 1800s. Around 1880, Hetukterekit. Shortly after Battle of Little Bighorn, Battle of Greasy Grass. Oh, yeah. So, She talks about those things, how they were, how they lived. So listening to those kind of stories, Wo'oyake stories, anahop, the listening to those. Later on, when I was able to play outside by myself, maybe 12, 13 years old, Kunshi made me a bow. One time, we went out cutting baskets, saplings for baskets. She makes baskets. Remember I was talking about that? She makes baskets, willow baskets. She was cutting those bigger frames. One time I was watching her, I watched her, I noticed her. She was making something. My dad is always hunting, so Kunshi, being the, of the old style, living in the 1800s, early 1900s. When my dad, when my dad, when he kills a deer, Kunshi will take the sinew off the back from the hump of the takhcha de chakauke. Sinew, she'll take that. She'll dry it, she'll make moccasin, sew up moccasin, hampa ikcheka, moccasin, hampa ikcheka, kar. That one time I seen her doing that. She was making something. Here she made a bowl for me. Kids bowl. Itazipe bowl. She made a really nice one too, and she used the sinew of the deer for the string. She soaks it. She soaks it. She stretches it, and she used that for the string of the bow. And one of her willows for the basket, cleaned it really nice, made a few arrows for me. Takoje. Dina eya. Here they are. Dina eya takoje. And I knew what it was right away. So I had that little bow. I shoot rabbits, mashtincha. Lots of rabbits back then. Naku mashtincha uhamoka, she taught me kunshi uspemakia, how to put snare for rabbit. We always eat rabbit. Mashtincha untape. Kahina he. Itazipe mashtincha wakut. I shoot rabbits. Mashtincha wahamuka, I snare rabbits. Kahina kunshi Spanya, she cooks those. So later on, back in the early 80s, I remember those times. We went to Apawa one time, and down to North Dakota, Bismarck, Haiti, Wachium Kipe. Looking through the stores, but I already bought some magazines. This great bow hunter, name is Fred Bear. He was my idol back then. There'll be a lot of sports magazines about bow hunting, and Fred Bear was always there. I bought some magazines like that. And when I was in Bismarck, I bought the first bow that I had. And since then, I've had bow, itazipe, wahinkpe, just to remember the old days, how the people survived back then using these tools, these wotawe. So hinache apetuke dehayat, still to these days, I try to incorporate a little bit of that, the old ways, into what I do. So as wet dew comes along, they want to wet to Edo Yampe, we're getting close to wet dew when the snow is gone. Remember, Chtani ha, Obadake, I was talking about her seasonal calendar on that log. Should be looking at that. Wana mag ojupte. It's time to make a garden. Wana ihidubi Iapi. They get themselves ready. Kunsha gets ready, ihidubi. Oyahan to kahe maktistan Iapi, small gardens. Bado, Parizizi, Pshin. Bado is a potato, Parizizi is the carrot, and the onion. Pshin is the onion. Oju. And Hantuk. Hoina hatchet, Muskampe, Ahana. That's how we lived Ahanata. I remember those a lot today, trying to keep that going. So taku hechikchit, things like that. Taku hechikchit. Hedi wo hadakawachi. I want to speak on those things. Takushnishnyepe. Little things, tidbits here and there. Hina iwo hadamakeke ha. Nachumte. You'll hear it. Different words for different things, like yokapte, cup, yokapte, wakshicha, the plate, isan, the knife, wichape, the fork, tukiha, the spoon, dina, kitchen things, eh? Hina, wichapega, isanga, wakshicha, yokapte, dina. Hina yujaja che kunshi. She washes that every day. Takojamini Hawaii, go get some water. Dina bedujajakte, I'll wash these. Wakshichakti dina. Wapakintekte, she says, I'll wipe them. Wapakinte. She did tell me too one time, when they're out on a prairie, tintekta, anana etip, they try to make their camps by the water. She said one time, Oyake, she told me that if they're scarce on water, back then they had for plates or bowls, they had hide, rawhide that's dried for bowls and stuff like that, for dry stuff. She told me if they don't have water, if they don't have water or they don't have too much of it, they used to use sand. If you can find sand, and they'll rub that in the bowls, or if they had plates, they'll rub it just to clean it. Who would have thunk that, right? That's what my grandma was saying. Ahana, in the back days, if they're out of water, they use sand or very fine gravel to clean their bowls or their isan, like that. So they're innovative. They can survive out there. From her stories, I compare that life to our lives today. It seems like a calm life back then, but of course it has its own dangers and stuff like that. If they can't find a buffalo, then they go hungry. That sort of thing. So they're always working to to ensure the survival of the Oyate, that Teoshpais that move together. There's lots to do for the comfort and the wellness of the Teoshpais that are moving around together. When you compare that to today, how difficult is our life today? Is it difficult? Is our life difficult today? That makes us complacent. We don't do anything. There we are, I just sit here. Why we don't work? We'll go to the band office once a month. As promised by Iapi, the government. He promised us that. We'll look after you. Sit still. Don't be roaming around like you used to. The Indian. We will look after you. So maybe that has a lot to do with our complacency today. We're lazy. We don't like to work. Why should I work, So we sit at home, watch TV wa yankap. Phone akano yankap. Why chun we check here? Awayanke. Ade why chun uptetka? Eyegash ichunkumsh. Unchimshne. Hawana Tawachinki, Heonchechap. When the employment and training person comes around, talks to you, so why aren't you working? Why don't you want to work? A good question. So we still see young people hawk a stick in hand, roaming around. Dakota, no responsibility. The employment and training personnel people, they try to help us. We go for training in whatever it is we want to do. Maybe a carpenter or a nurse or whatever, We get training or we go to university. Iapi tanka to university. Iapi tanka university. We go over there. When we come home, what do we do? These things I think about. I think of those things. How are we going to survive, live? Maybe we're happy the way we are. Maybe. Maybe. These things I think about, So those picture. Those we should talk about. A good subject matter. We picture. Should talk and discuss these things for our young people. So my relatives, I wanted to say these things using the Dakota language. Because if you're going to use the Dakota language, they Yech to spinach ichika hawaste. Kataku kidena obe o ta Dakota ya wohadak Iapi. When you start using the language, you're going to find out that there are many varied things that you need to talk about using the language, your vocabulary. It's not only about Wakshichi Jaja washing dishes, Hayaka Yujaja washing the clothes, Hadakcha comb your hair, Idu Jaja wash, Otumataya go to town, Waya go to school, Waichunya go to work. Like that. Those everyday conversations, as I say, is good. That's a good start. But there's many varied subjects that we must talk about with our language. Something out of the home life, So Hina, think about those things. How do you say those words, And as I said, I talked about these things. An English to Dakota dictionary, very valuable. English to Dakota dictionary. For those of you that are really keen on getting the language back, really good resource. You can probably order it, bookstore, Iapi, Tipi, bookstore, Iapi, Tipi. You can find that. English, and then Dakota to English dictionary. Dakota to English dictionary. These complement each other. And the Dakota one is pretty thick. Shoke, it's thick. Wapik is shoke. Washichu Iapi rage Akitana, shokish. I look at this and I read this. Mostly, not every day, but a couple of 2 or 3 times a week, How many Dakota words are in here, I can't remember if it says anywhere. But that's a lot of Dakota words. Ota do, it's ota. Sometimes I just open a page wajibiduranga, bidawache. Hecherape. I don't know a lot of these words. Even though I'm considered a fluent speaker. Dakota Iapi Capture. I understand really well Dakota language, but I don't know more than half of these words. I know some words that are not familiar, people are not familiar with, that you don't hear anymore. But except for the old guys, when I talk to the old guys, sometimes we use the old word. They're not old words. It's just the words that we hardly use today, and I find them in here. I think it was last week. I remembered a word, Iapashtag. What does that mean? Iapashtag. Why? Iapashtag Iapi. Iapashtag Maye. Iapashtag Wichun Iapi. What does that word mean, Iapashtag? How do you spell it? Iapashtag. Iapashtag. That'll be a good word for today. Iapashtag. Iapashtake. I think that's how it's spelled. Guess what it means? Surprise! Surprise! That's what it means. Surprise! I remember that word last week, and I was talking about that with a friend of mine. So what does that mean? Well, then I tried to explain what it means. Iapashtak. I used to hear that word a lot, as I say, when I was growing up. Matiste and Kunshi would talk about, use that word, and the Ukans will use that word a lot back then when they're talking about the old days. Iapashdake is surprising somebody, you know, especially in the olden days, in the back days. Zuya Yapka, when they're going on a war path, war mission, something happened, you're going. Nasdad Iapi, they walk slow, they creep around, you know, especially when there's enemies, you know, around, you know. If there's enemy camp there or whatever, they try to surprise them, catch them off guard. So they're not ready. And they used to use that word a lot, Iapashdagoi. You can be Iapashdakad too. Somebody can, you'll be walking around and you won't know until that person is right there. Surprised you, say, surprise, you know. Iapashdag niya. Iapashdag maya. Surprised me. I wasn't aware of it. So I think that's a cool word, right? Iapashdak. Surprise. You might, somebody might be coming to the door and you open it really quickly. Surprise! You know, you surprise that person. I think it's a cool word. So that's what I do. I go to this book and then I read different words. Okichichu, inviting each other, feasting. That's a cool word. Eh? Okichicho. Kichu. Okichicho. Oh, okay, no, I'm wrong. Okichicho. Kichope. When you're kicho somebody, you're inviting somebody. Oh, koda hiyo. Yecho. You're inviting that person. Kicho. That's right there, though. So he's not going to be surprised when you say, hey, hiyo. You don't iapashtag that person. Hey, koda, tansha, hiyo. Kicho. Kicho. Hiyo dechia. Tansha, hiyo. Kicho. That's a cool word. Where did I see that? Okichicho. I gotta find it again. Oh, it's okichicho. Inviting each other, like you're inviting people, like for a feast. We're always having feast, okay? These will be really good to know in the community, to know the word, how to use this. Okichicho, kicho, to invite. This is the act of okichicho. It's the act of doing it. Act of kichoing. That'll be a cool word, I think, to understand for the young people. For the young people, for the Tokojas. When you see Ina ate, mom, dad, kunshunka. They're going to have a feast at the hall down here. All of a sudden people start arriving, right? So how do people know to come there? Well, your mom and dad, or ina ate, kunshunka, they kichod. I washichu worded it. They kichod all these people that come down there at the hall. Wichakicho. They put invitation out there. Come that day, upo. We will eat. We will have a whatever the occasion may be. We'll have meal, and they know. You know, wakshicha hadu upo. Bring your plate. Wakshicha. Remember I talked about wakshicha plate. Wakshicha. Wakshicha plate. Wakshicha. Wakshicha hadu upo. Bring your wakshicha, bring your utensils, your bowls, your plates, your cups. Wakshicha yokapte hadu upo. You're kichoing somebody. You understand when you're kichod, when somebody's kichoing you, you know to take your bag, your chair, whatever, and your plate, whatever, because you know there's going to be a feast. And so you go there, you know, you titokan is visiting. Titokan. Titoka, it comes from tipi, tipi tokan. Tokan is a different place. Tipi tokan. Tokan. You sit and you visit, you talk. Wohadakap. Tokan. So you go there, you sit, you talk, titokayakape. From the feast. When all the food is given out and inipi, you're just full and you can't eat anymore. So wakshicha shkokpa bowls, you put your food in there. What do you call that food that you're going to take home? You've heard it before. Watecha. Watecha. Food for home. Watecha. Food for home. You take that home and you eat it at home. There's a caution there. Maybe I should talk a little bit about before we finish this session. When you go to Nichopi, you're invited. Nichopi to go to a feast. Nichopi. Minja, me too, Nichopi. We go over there. Titokampi, we visit. We remember what the feast is about. Titokamyakaban. Wantapi, we eat. Iyonkipi, we're full. Shawoyotehina, the food we pack. We take it home to eat later. But what if you can't finish the watecha? Especially in memorials or feasts like that, they pray with the food, right? So that food is sacred. It gives you life. The wakhpe, the tea, the mini, the water. What do you do if you can't finish it? You just don't throw it in the garbage. You don't throw it in the garbage. Because somebody, an elder, thank you for giving us food sustenance. And then you go and throw it away? No, you don't do that. So what you do with the watecha, if it's in the fridge for however long you can't finish it, then you can take that, because you know what is watecha and what is not. So you take that and you go to the bush somewhere and you give it to the birds and the bees. Atawa kantaka, you pray, ask for forgiveness. Amichik tuja. Amichik tuja. Dina oakishni, I can't eat it up. So wopidechicha, I thank you. Ija wamanicha, the things that crawl around, like the birds and the bees, the squirrels, the mice, whatever. You give it to them to help you eat it up. Okay. So this watecha here, this food, you ask for forgiveness, okay? Forgiveness. Amichik tuja, forgive. I think that's how you spell it. Forgiveness, you ask for that. Ask. For Creator, you say, thank you for this food, but I can't finish it. And you give it to the beings out there, Amichik tuja. Amichik tuja. Amichik tuja. Forgive me, Creator. I can't finish. I can't finish this food that you gave me. So the beings, the little four-leggeds on the ground, they'll help me finish it. Amichik tuja. Amichik tuja. Forgive me for doing that. So I thought that'll be a nice little lesson. When somebody invites you to the feast, you go over there, you sit with them, you visit, you eat, the leftovers, woyaptapi. P is plural. Those things that you can't finish there, woyaptapi. You take that home and you finish it at home. So, watecha Iapi, it's called watecha. Woyaptapi, it's just like medicine because they prayed with it. Just like medicine. You take it home as watecha. Watecha. You can't finish it, you say, I'm sorry, forgive me, Creator, but I can't finish it. I'm going to share it with all things. Hey, Chitu. So that's as far as I will go. We'll break for another maybe 5-10 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll close it off. Hey, Chitu do. That is correct. Hey, Chitu. Ha. Aho, ake wana uhudipi do. Ake again uhudipi. We're back. And during the break, we're talking about the subject of Kicho and Wakshicha and Watecha. Watecha is a food that was, prayed with and for at a feast. And we call that a sacred food, a spiritual food. So I failed to mention that if you have a lot of food, and my Hakashi was, Aaron and I were talking about it, that if that's too much food for your family to finish, you can share. You're supposed to share, and I failed to mention that. Share amongst your family or whomever, maybe some otanka, some elders, whatever. Share, and of course let them know that you make sure you eat it up. Or if you don't eat it up, like put it outside with a prayer, with forgiveness, like that. And that is meant to be shared, this watecha. So remember that, young people, because as we move forward, the generations, you have to understand the protocols, the protocols of the things that we do. If you're invited, Uwa, Wakshicha hadu uwa, bring your plates, your bowls. Wakshicha hadu uwa. We're going to eat. Remember that, because it's a I won't call it like a very sacred thing, but with you show you show respect when you go to these feasts as you're invited, because they're doing these feasts for some important cause, so make sure that you look after the food properly, the watecha. It's just like medicine. So I thought I'll add that you could share it with family members or people that are around you at home, in your neighborhood, So I think it's good to know these things. Then we know what we're doing. You know what's expected of you or expected of me. We're going to live like this. We're going to do it like this. So these are good teachings, and I thought that was pretty cool. Where I opened that and I looked at this word, kicho. We made a little lesson out of it. Maybe that's what I'll do more often. Open the page, see what what word we're looking at, and talk about that. There's many words in here, so we could be making many sessions out of this. As I'm reading this, Badawa. Badawa is I'm reading it. Wayawa is I'm going to school. Wayawa tipi, that's the school building. Hechia over there, Badawa, I read. Yawa is to read and count. The Yawa means both, to read and or count. Yawa. So hina, little things like that should be understood. Yawa, you can read, or Yawa, you can count. Wayawa TP, school, Hechia over there. Shichecha, the children. Wakanja, the children. Wayawa Iapi, they go to school. Wayawa Iapi, to read and write, to count. That's what Yawa means. And I think we've talked about that before already. So these things should be in your vocabulary already. And as I said, hepeche, once you know, when I study Iapi, nie out there in TV land, study Iapi, tako epekin dina, what I say, if you understand that, then it's up to you, niedo, he nunkter every day, you use it to reinforce what you understand. If you don't use it, then you will lose it. So hina, kiksuyapo, remember that as you're learning, as you're understanding, keep on using it. The reason why I said that many times over the last year, find a friend. Do it kicho, remember kicho? Kicho, I thought tansha hiota. I koda hiota. Hio. So you don't yapashtake that person, you don't surprise that person, Tansha hiota. Yatako seta. Wo dakikte will titoka will visit. And then you will learn together. Because if you don't have a friend, somebody to talk to, you're not going to use the language. So challenge each other, maybe your Tahashis, your Kodas, somebody like that. Tahashi is your cousin. Your Koda is your friend. Challenge each other. Because now you understand the importance of language. The importance of language. Language is who you are. Couple that with your name, Chaje. Chaje Nitawa. Chaje Mitawa. Chaje Onkitawa. Those two together identifies you as who you are. Danikota, your Dakota, Damakota, Daunkotape, or Naunkotape, or Launkota. That identifies you, who you are, who you're supposed to be. So, when you kicho somebody, sit them down, kichiyotaka, sit with them and talk about these things. Dakota Iapi de. Talk about it, challenge each other, but you do it with understanding that it's important. So that as you learn, as you're learning, moving forward, as you're moving forward, as you're learning, you're going to start using it so you don't lose it. Mitakuyapi, my relatives, mitakodapi, my friends, that is the only way we can do it. The only way we can do it is to have an understanding of the importance of it, learn it, and use it. That's the only way. It can't be done any other way. It is up to you. It is up to you. And I've heard many times over the past several years, since 2010 this way, well, you didn't teach us. Some of the young adults will say that. Well, you didn't teach us. And I say yes. There's reasons why you weren't taught. What are those reasons? You'll understand that. Ask your mom or your kunshu, well, why didn't you teach me? And they'll tell you, whatever reasons those are. But now we understand how important it is, the importance of language and culture, as to who you are, Yes, I'm sorry, I apologize for not teaching. But now we're trying to teach again, because we understand that, now we're trying to teach again. So please listen, understand, and use it, because it is important for your continued life moving forward as an Indian, as a Dakota Indian. They say nobody can take that away from you being an Indian, but you can give it up. It's all up to you. So that's how much I will talk about today, and maybe at this time we will talk about what's going to happen next week. Next week, Monday, Tuesday, Language Bowl, Otomata, Oyogeta. Remember Oyogeta, Brandon. Language Bowl on the 16th and the 17th. So we won't be here on the 17th, the Tuesday. We usually have a session. We'll all be in Brandon. We'll see how it goes. We might have a session on the 18th for sure. We will commit to that, hey, Akashi? We're not yet, okay? We're not sure. But if we're not on air, then we're still kind of working at the last parts of the language session for the 16th and 17th. So be aware of that. A lot of work is going on right now for those 2 dates and to finish off on it. And also the following week, which is the 21st, right? Go, Takoja?
22nd to the 28th.
22nd to the 28th of next week. Those sessions we won't be having because the man, Takoja, is not going to be here. He'll be busy elsewhere, so we won't be having sessions next week. So be aware of that. Next week, no sessions. Takodakdishne, Daganese. Next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So remember that. So we might have one session next week, but we'll know will know about it on that day. So Henaksha epek the do. I will say that much today, and I hope you've learned something, a few more words like kicho, chicho, micho, unkichope, watecha, wakshicha, amichiktunja. Forgive me, amichiktunja. Amichiktunja wo. The male will say that, amichiktunja wo. Forgive me. The female can say amichiktunja. Or they can add a ye on it, amichiktunja ye. Amichiktunja wo. To Creator. Forgive me if I don't finish my food. So, I thought it was a good day. So, we will do that much today. And then looking forward to the next time, okay? Hatoshta ke. Hai chitra.